Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Chicago Bears. If we dare to, right? After yesterday's game. Um, yeah, another loss. Another loss from our Bears. And that means the bad sign is back. Because you know I can't say that four-letter word that I like to say, and that word is fuck. So this will be what a sign I put up when I'm doing that. So yeah, let's get to it. Not a good day. We all know that. The Bears are now 3-5, and the score was 33-22. The Bears actually did my rule of less than 5 penalties, but they had 4 penalties for 30 yards. I was looking that up. Sure seemed like it was more than that, but that's what the statistics say. But sometimes I don't think that they're right. I've caught mistakes on the Bears recap page a couple times, so I'm saying they had more than 4. But when they did come, they really hurt. They stopped a couple drives, and so it was really bad. And the Bears won the time of possession. And the reason being is because when San Francisco did have the ball, particularly in the second half, they scored they had the ball and they scored like within a minute. They didn't take any time off the clock because they were just scoring so fast in the second half. So the things I talk about, two things the Bears did right, but still lost. So then that begs to differ. There's definitely more problems with the team. Now, here's one of the stats that I caught on the recap on the Bears page. They said Fields had 148 yards passing, but I added it up, and it was 175 yards of passing. He had 1 touchdown and 1 interception, as we know. He was sacked 4 times. He's been sacked 28 times now, right? No, 26 times now. I mean, that's bad. The O-line at times yesterday did kind of look like there was times that they actually looked like a good line, and then the other times they were terrible. So they still haven't gotten it together. But we did have 75 back in there. Our rookie, our fourth round pick from the draft last year, rookie go down after the first game, so he was back. So it might take a little time for them to gel again. So let's hope. But at times they look good, and then at times they were terrible. San Francisco had 322 yards of passing, hence the score 33-22, right? Okay, so rushing, I wish the Bears, I don't really like how it broke out, but there was a total of 176 total yards rushing. Fields had 103 of them, and Herbert, our running back, number 24, who you know I love, had 72. I would like to see that number flipped a little bit. I mean, it was nice, and I really felt that the Bears should have kept running more in the second half that they did. They kind of seemed to abandon it a little bit, and they were really working in the first half. They were running the ball. San Francisco, their rushing was 145 yards, and most of that came in the second half of the game, where I don't know what happened to our defense. They played pretty darn well in the first half, especially after losing Eddie Jackson, number 4, on the second play of the game, and no Mack in that game. See, it really showed not. And let's get back to Eddie Jackson first. He's number 4, and he's our cornerback, so he's in the secondary. We have, he's pretty good, and then JJ, number 33, Jalen Johnson, is good. So missing those two are the best back there, and missing one of them really hurt. It really showed up as the day went on. But yeah, they had 145 yards rushing, like I said, mostly in the second half. Then Mr. Mooney, our number 11, our receiver, had 64 yards. This is going to show you that Fields was really spreading it around yesterday. So Mooney had 64 yards. Our tight end, number 18, Jesse James, had 38 yards. Our wide receiver, 84, Goodwin, had 32 yards. And our other tight end, 85, Clement, had 24 yards, but he should have had more because he dropped a couple passes, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. And then wide receiver number 12, Robinson, had 21 yards. So Fields was throwing the ball all over the field and actually using some of his tight ends, and I like to see the tight ends being used more. The better the offensive line gets, the more we can use our tight ends, and we don't need the tight ends to block. That's why Jesse James hasn't had a lot of yards receiving this year because he's been blocking, which really, tight ends do both, but you'd really like to see them go out. And I like our tight ends because they're taller than it seems our receivers are. And the one big knock that I think Fields has is he overthrows. And they got to get that fixed. My son was like, well, we need taller receivers. I said, no, we really need to get that fixed because that causes interceptions, overthrows. It will. But I wish we had taller receivers. I personally think that Robinson's gone after this year, and Mr. Mooney will be our number one. And I'm hoping in the offseason, either through the draft or signings or whatever, we get some more receivers, and hopefully they're taller. But our tight ends are pretty tall, and if we had an offensive line, we could use them more. But the point was that they were throwing the ball around and running it, and I liked the mixture, but it seemed like the second half they got totally thrown off by everything. The Bears, our defense, had no sacks or turnovers. So that's another thing that really hurt. The Bears could not get after Garofalo at all. They were getting close at times, but you know what? It didn't, and we really missed. If we would have had Mack and Quinn together, I think we would have had for sure some sacks. But they were listen, the Bears were playing pretty well going into halftime. They were leading 13-9 at half, considering the penalties that hurt them. And as I said, they were mixing it up. But then comes the second half of the game. Yeah. And that's when all hell done broke loose. Yeah. Oh. I knocked my microphone over. Oh, my God. I'm getting so worked up. Okay, so the second half. The Bears get the ball first. They go down the field and had a touchdown right there, and number 85, tight end's hands, Clement, and he's in the end zone, and he drops it. And we had to settle for a field goal, so now it's 16-9 Bears. It should have been, 21-9, but it wasn't. And forgive me, but my cat is down there meowing, and I don't know why, but probably because he wants to be on the show. But, Clement, he had a couple drops yesterday, but that one in the end zone, oh, my God, that just, I was so pissed. I was so pissed. Yeah. Then San Francisco gets the ball back, and we all know what happened then. The Bears give up an 80-yard run for a touchdown. San Francisco, within a minute, goes right down the field, and there was several missed tackles. That's why they got down the field. I counted 3. Now, I'm sure there was more. So after that, now it's 16-15, and we still have, it's still 1 point difference. And it just felt like, oh boy, that might have been the needle in the nail in the coffin. I just had a feeling. Then San Francisco, after the Bears they get the ball back, the Bears, they go 3 and out. Boom. San Francisco again goes right down the field for another touchdown. Now it's 23-16. And at that point, I was just like, what the heck? They were all looking like they did last week. Heads are down, it's net. I don't know what happened to the defense, really. So you know what? Our defense can be good sometimes, real good, and then can be really bad. And that, they just seem like the steam was let out of them, and they didn't come back for that. And that's when you need a player or a coach to step up and say, hey, It's only 23-16. We're down by a touchdown. Let's get your heads back up in the air. Let's look at what we can do. Let's make some adjustments, which the Bears did not do, and they never do in the second half. All teams around the league make adjustments, not the Bears. And then let's get out there and play a game instead of being bad. So they need that leader, and they don't, in my opinion. I just don't see anybody stepping up. Then we're moving into the fourth quarter, and the Bears are moving the ball again down the field, but then a penalty happens and stops it. But right after that, there was two plays that stood out in this game, and this is the one of them when Fields, he's scrambling for his life. I thought he was going to be sacked. Number 5 was going to be number 5, but he gets away. He's scrambling. He runs and he misses. People are missing him here and there, and it's a 22-yard touchdown. I thought, oh my God, we're back in it. And then when we go to, this is when I'm like, okay, we're back in it. But then Santos comes up and actually misses the extra point. Now it's 23-22. Bears are losing again. Now, that's not what caused the defeat. We know that. But I knew there was something wrong. And I'm like, it's frickin' Halloween. And because he never misses anything. And when that happened, I thought, oh, we're done. And then after that, the Bears defense didn't do anything right. They gave up a touchdown, another touchdown and a field goal, and San Francisco wins. Now, we know that, again, I said, we were missing Mac, we were missing Eddie Jackson on defense, but still, I don't know. Mac's been hurt all year, and, quite honestly, at one point yesterday, I said to my son, you know what? Because they said they were going to. Now, Mac has not practiced all year. He's had the foot and knee problem all year, but he's played it every game. But they didn't play him yesterday, and I thought that was a little. I'm like, okay, so are they giving him a chance to rest and see if he feels better, or have they been in talks with other teams to trade him? Tomorrow's the trade deadline. So I thought, is that why they kept him out? Inquiring minds want to know. I'm sure I'm wrong, but I don't know. We'll see. But, yeah, we missed him. There's no doubt. And you know what? We got to work on the defense in the offseason because we're not consistent enough. I mean, Roquan Smith, 58, was all over the place yesterday. But here is another play. So, obviously, the Fields' 22-yard one was pretty darn awesome. That was great, and he scored a touchdown. Then, in the fourth quarter, as I said, San Francisco was doing, they were running up and down the field. They got the running game going in the second half. They made adjustments. The Bears never made the adjustments to stop the run. They just didn't. But there was a play in the fourth quarter, and one of their running backs was running down the field, getting big chunks of yards. And then all of a sudden, you see number 96, my man Hicks, who is the defensive lineman and is big, comes running out of nowhere and tackles the guy and gets him down. And that is pretty dang good because you don't see defensive linemen run down the field and make a tackle because he was so far down. Our safeties, our linebackers, or our cornerbacks should have been making the tackle, not a defensive lineman. So I thought that was great. And you know what? I wish they would have kept running the ball, but it just, I don't know. And our line is terrible, so it doesn't give Fields enough time. He was sacked 4 times. There were some positives, there's no doubt about it, but we just don't have all the pieces, and I don't understand why the Bears can't get that figured out. It just really pisses me off. Yeah. And why didn't they wear their orange jerseys yesterday? It was Halloween. Wouldn't that have been kind of a, good Halloween thing? But they didn't. I thought that was a little odd. I thought for sure they'd have them on. But they're not going to wear their orange jerseys until December sometime. I'm not all that thrilled about the orange jerseys, but it was Halloween, Oh, well, what are you going to do? So their Bears are not consistent. They should have won that game yesterday. Hands down should have won that game, but the defense just, the second half, and it happened the week before, came out and we were sort of in that game with Tampa Bay, and then the second half happened. So they're not making defensive changes and adjustments. I started out really liking the defensive coordinator, and now I don't. I'm like, you know what? I don't think I like him. He's I just don't agree with some of the stuff that's going on. Or does he not have the ability? Does he feel like he doesn't have the, he's got some good guys. So I'm not really sure about his schemes and if I approve of them. So I don't know, but just another crappy, crappy day. Crappy, crappy game. We should have won. That's right. Should have won. So it is going to be like this the rest of the year because now, as I said a couple weeks ago, do you want to win? You want to have a better chance to win? That's Andy Dalton. Or are you ready to are you willing to take the ride, as bumpy as it's going to be, and have Fields learn and get it? Because we're not going to win it much more games because the games just don't get any easier. Next week is a Monday night game, and it's against Pittsburgh. Now, Pittsburgh, the only good thing about them is Ben can't run, so we'll see. But it's unfortunate. We do have to get rid of the coaching staff. I think it's a real problem for us and Fields. And I was hoping that we were going to win just to prove Nagy not being on the sideline is a good thing, but it didn't really matter. Even though he was probably on the headset the whole time, but whatever. All right. So, kind of a down note here, a couple of them here. Number one, 22 years ago today in 1999, one of the greatest Chicago Bears ever passed away, and that was Walter Payton. So, God bless you. Rest in peace, my friend. You will always be remembered. I love my man. He's right there. And over around the corner here, you can't see it, I have a really cool picture. It's actually on canvas, and it was him jumping over, how he used to jump over the line to score touchdowns. It's a great picture, so God bless you, man. Always will be missed. And nobody got the game right Friday. Apparently nobody wants to play this game. All right, but I might still do it. There was 3 things on the set last Friday that were there last Monday, but they were new a week ago today. I put them on the set. There was 3 of them, and nobody got that. So I might just leave it until Friday and see if somebody comes up with it. I think it's pretty easy, but people, I guess you aren't paying attention. Just like I'm busting out some family members and friends who say they watch the show, but I know they don't now because of a few things that I've said and done, and I've got no reaction from them. So that tells me you're not watching the show. You are lying to me, and you know what that means. Bad. And before I sign off, I will be back Friday. We're going to go over the Pittsburgh game. And then after that, we have a bye. So, if the Bears aren't trading Mac, that's not the idea, then I bet if he's still hurt, he's not going to play Monday because then he gets a couple weeks off because of the bye, and then he can come back and maybe be full force. At this point, it doesn't really matter. And to be honest with you, I don't think they can trade him because he's hurt, but if they did, if you could get a couple second-rounders for him, I'd be down because we don't have a first rounder in the draft this year in 2022, so we got to try to get as many second rounders as we can so we can and you can get some decent players. So we need to go after some second rounders. So, trading a Mac or a Quinn, as much as we don't want to, might not be a bad idea, if you could get second rounders, but we'll see. And this is personal for me. I'm sending out prayers and support for a wonderful young man who has been fighting cancer for about 3 years now, and he's losing the battle. And it's just a matter of days now. So God bless to you, honey. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to put that out there, but I just want his family to know I am praying for every one of them, and I'm praying for him, that I pray that he gets a safe and painless passage, because he's one of these most exceptional people I've ever met in my life. And I started working with him in 2013, and it was a joy. He was just somebody special. I love you, man. And my heart is with you, and it's breaking, actually. I'm sorry. Okay, so I got to sign off before I start crying. Because it's just not cool to have your announcer crying. Really, right? If I'm not, I mean, I should be crying over the Bears too, which I do quite frequently every week. But and as always, put your hand in my hand, and let's do this journey together. Let's stop bullying. Let's stop hate. Let's stop all of that and just work together because we need each other. Be kind to someone. Be kind to yourself because life is short and it's precious. And on that note, we are just going to leave it like that. And as always, keep on rocking and rolling from Vegas, baby. And I will see you on Friday. You know I will. Bye-bye.